Welcome to another episode of the Headlight Restoration Pro, where I'll be showing you how to take headlights like this and turn them into perfection like this in a step-by-step performance, or better yet, a tutorial showing you guys how to master the Headlight Restoration Pro's method.
The Headlight Restoration Pro. The future of headlight restoration.
People think I'm giving this guy a high score.
Let's get down to business. This is a 2006 Toyota Camry that is well past its due date for headlight restoration, and this one particular vehicle has not had a headlight restoration in its entire life. Almost 20 years coming up here, closer to 20 years than not. I'm going to be showing you here a step-by-step tutorial to help you in your efforts to master the Headlight Restoration Pro's method.
Step 1. Taping off.
I normally don't show this on film here, but this is one of the number one important, if not the most important step of headlight restoration. This is protecting the vehicle and everything else around the headlight that you don't want to mess up. That could end up costing you a lot more than both the headlights combined if you mess these things up. Especially if you don't know how to fix them. I know how to fix them, but still it's a very serious issue. I switched over some time ago to get to use the American GT tape. It's in the bio. If I had a preference, it would be the 3M tape, but the 3M tape does not sell in mass bulk. The most I can get is probably like 6-7 rolls at a time, and it's very expensive. They don't cut any breaks. With this GT, I'm buying boxes that have mass quantities inside of them, like 40 rolls or something like that. So it's much more beneficial for me, even though it's really expensive to buy in a bulk setting like this. It's much cheaper than buying a couple rolls at a time. If you're doing a lot of vehicles like me, I would suggest focus in buying some bulk. As you see here, I am doing overlapping tape measures here, and I'm doing a minimum of 3 pieces of tape for the portions that are butted up against the light. Okay, as you see, I'm just doing pretty much one row of tape all the way around the light, and they are at the minimum of 3 pieces on every segment of the light. Some places like this in the corner, you're gonna have 5 or 6 or 7 pieces or something like that. The places that are more prone to get hit, and it takes experience to know, and it also takes you kind of feeling how the drill is pushing you where it's going to hit more. But I'll tell you, it's the corners and the dips that dip away from you, like right there where I was just at in these corners here. Those places I'm putting an excessive amount of tape. I'm not just doing 3. I'm doing like I said, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces overlapping. The overlapping adds to textile strength of the tape, and it also adds to when you remove the tape. If you overlap in one direction, as you see, I moved from the inside corner to the outside top. When you're removing the tape, it just takes seconds. You just grab one side and you pull it, and it just comes all off. And this is if you want to think of taping off in two segments. Okay, the first segment was that taping all the way around the light and that excessive amount of tape and just overlapping. This segment, the second segment, you want to think of at least 3 inches away from the light, at minimum of 3 inches away from the light, which is pretty much this tape here is inch tape. So that's pretty much 3 rows of that overlapping all the way down at a minimum. You can do 5 or 6 or whatever, depends on how you feel. And this is for, I'll be showing you here in a minute, is mainly for slippage. With this, or even with hand sanding or this sanding, sometimes things can happen where you slip or you push past that first line of tape, okay? If you don't have excess tape here or paper or something that you put out, you have a tendency you could damage the paint and have to fix it somehow. And if you don't know how to fix it, this can be quite costly. So that's the number one. The number two is when you're spraying. If you are a sprayer, okay, it doesn't really apply too much to somebody who is somebody who uses a hand towelette or a wipe on or something like that. But if you are a sprayer, you're going to have a certain amount of overspray. Myself with this product, it's a very focused tip. It's about a 2-inch fan spray. So the way I do it, I'm only getting maybe a half an inch overspray. So this is just overkill, just to be sure, because sometimes wind will hit it or something will hit it and it will throw a little fine mist on there, even though it just wipes off with a towel or whatever, a wet towel or something. You still just don't want to deal with it, right? You gotta play it smart. But you see how I showed you with the drill, how it's very easy just to slip up here. And I'll show you a little, I'll make it happen here with a little live motion here in a second. But then now, it's not really a step, it's more of a preference. I set up all my things here. I use the hood of the open car, sometimes even a closed car, depends on what kind of car it is. It's very rare, but sometimes I do a closed car. I set up all my equipment up there. I put my my blower together. I have 2 towels at all times. One's going to be a wet towel. One's going to be for dry stuff, okay? You'll see why I need that in a minute. I put my gimbal there with my interface pad up there. And I pretty much just use it as my working surface where I can grab stuff. Or you can just leave it in here, but sometimes I just can't. If I'm trying to move fast and I'm trying to get the job done and get on to the next one or get home or whatever, I keep it up there because every couple minutes, every couple seconds add up to minutes, you know what I'm saying? So the more efficient you are, the better you are. That's why I would turn this around so my waters that I hang over this are accessible easy. Now, I keep stuff like this. I have plastic ones as well. It's pretty much the same thing as this tape, okay, with paper that you can fold out all the way around it if you need extra protection, okay? I only use that for high-end vehicles, okay? For just in case, like if I'm doing a black Porsche, something that will really show up or really, any little speck, any little thing, which I've done recently. I want to use stuff like that just for precaution because, some people just don't care about this car, or like this car is really mucky on the front or nothing's going to make it worse. But some people have that perfect showroom sign with a ceramic coat on it. You really want to take care of those vehicles a little bit more because the people are more anal about it, of course. And it's going to show up a lot easier than a car that's riddled with dirt and bug sprays, all right? Now that we're getting, wrapping up the tape, I'm showing you what sandpaper you're going to be using there. The P500, the P800, and the 3000 Tri-Zac. Now, those are going to be the main components of the sandpapers that you are using. And you're going to be using them in order in different steps. I'm going to show you that step by step. And another step consists of this, which is a 3M orange finesse it pad. A lot of people initially are like, oh my god, it's so expensive, whatever, but we'll get into that as well and explain to you why it's really not. And I'm going to be doing something different when we get to that step here. This is just a precursor, okay? I'm just showing you all the stuff that you're going to be using. I am going to be mixing something I haven't showed you guys yet. I work on all kind of stuff in the back scenes, behind the scenes and stuff that you guys don't know about. And it takes time for me to develop it and get it onto screen. But I've been working around with this Chemical Guys and 3M combination. It's pretty nice. Okay, let's get into this step 2 here.
Step 2. P500 sanding.
Okay, gotta get to this P500 sanding. Showing you here the compact Ryobi drill, the half-inch I'm using. It's same thing as most of them, or most drills in this category or whatnot. They have those settings there at the bottom by your finger trigger, by the trigger. That has doesn't pertain to anything during this process except for the fact that it changes from right to left. It's your preference, okay? The torque really has no preference either except for stopping the drill drill, whenever you bind into a corner or something like that right there, you know, and it catches, it won't keep grinding and, you know, busting out or breaking or grinding shit off. Okay, that's the only preference it has. There at the top, that is the speed control settings. It has 2 gears. The first gear is going to be a certain ratio. I believe it is 0 to 600 RPM, if I'm not mistaken. And the other one is from about 600 to 1750 or so, or 1700. You see there at the bottom, I showed you the exact measurements of it or whatever. And this particular drill is just about the right amount of torque as well. You don't want to go too much higher than any of those settings. This one is pretty much maxed out for headlight restoration, as I am a professional and I do as many headlight restorations as you have seen or, you know, think I might be doing, and probably even more than that. Expressly, you do not want to use a drill that is too high powered. It would be better to use a drill that is underpowered for headlight restoration than a drill that is overpowered. This one right here is right on the border of perfection. Okay, this drill. Okay, far as how fast it goes and how much torque it is. But while on this, P500 step right here, I want you to see the tip of the drill right there. We're going to revisit it again on the other side, but look how little bit of pressure. That is a sponge at the end of that. That is a interface pad, okay, a 3-inch interface pad. So you see it naturally that size here, and it is barely decompressed. It means I'm really not even pushing. I'm letting it glide across the surface, and I'm letting the tool and I'm letting the sandpaper do the work. I'm not pushing. I'm not doing the work. I'm not, doing all that. And you see those little marks right there? If you did not tape off properly, it might have went through the tape. If you just did one layer of tape, if you did, whatever. And I purposely grind it down there. Sometimes I don't even hit it, but sometimes I do hit it. And then you see that right there, how the drill threw itself right there. I'm kind of putting it on. I let it happen. Okay, I know how to counter those things, okay? But I'm showing you what the importance is, because sometimes it happens to me every other day. It happens to me every other headlight restoration probably, where these things actually happen in a live setting, and I have to catch them. You always have to watch around this area here. Okay, you always have to watch while you're doing it to make sure that the tape isn't going bad, or that it is not digging into it, because if you keep digging into it on that, you're gonna have all these marks and stuff that you can't get out, and you're not gonna know what to do. And if you see it starting to get, a little bit beat up there, feel free to put some tape on it, like I just showed you there. And this was, this is an enactment. Okay, I'm trying to show you what happens. And believe it or not, with these tools, you do 10 headlights, it's going to happen to you about 6 times. Okay. So, it's going to happen, and you're not going to, be able to stop it, okay? And sometimes it happens bad, and sometimes it's just a little bit. But keep in mind, I am going like maybe, I don't know, a third of the speed that I normally go. Anyhow, people are like, how deep do you go? Whatever, how deep do I go? That stuff right there, I call that yellow cake dust. You guys haven't heard that in a while. But it's yellow cake dust. That's all the damaged cells, damaged particles, sun-bleached particles of the polycarbonate, okay? Those the actual yellow, and that stuff right there, those are all damaged particles being removed. That's why when I say people are chemically dousing the light and it turns it from yellow to kind of a clear looking, it's just a false positive, okay? The damage is still there. It's just the color, the oil color of the oils that are saturated into the polycarbonate, because once again, polycarbonate, what headlights are made out of, are derivative of hydrocarbons in fuels, which are just pretty much like diesel fuels, like gasolines, okay, like oils, okay, like petroleum, okay. They're made out of this shit. They almost distill it, and it collects, and it, and then they press it into these molds, and you have a headlight, okay. I've showed you that on numerous videos. So they're derivative of oils. Okay, so when people are bleaching those headlights with chemicals before they, do anything, it's not really it's just a false positive. So anyways, with that being said, I want you to pay attention to the color difference I'm going to show you on this side of the light versus the other side of the light. Okay. When you're doing this, you always want to do 50% overlap, and you want to concentrate on removing, small amounts. Okay, if you can think of, let's say the painters or the final step of this is going to be small overlapping, repetitive. Emotions and sweeping over and over, like depositing small layers. You want to think of that as this as well, almost like over and over and over. You don't want to think I'm taking it off in one swoop. Okay, you don't want to think I'm taking it off in one swoop and that's all there is, and that's going to end up have you gouge out your headlights. It's going to fuck things up, right? You're going to want to do it nice and clean, okay, over and over and over, light pressure, and let it do its job. You'll feel it when it's gone. You'll see it when it's gone, okay? And you see the difference of the color on this side of the light and the other side of the light. This is one of the problems people have doing wet sanding. I see people that improve their work because they're wet sanders by professional wet sanders that obviously have improved their work over, the year or two that I've been watching them or whatever. But I still see like, damn, his work's way better. But look at those yellow tints. When you see my headlights, you'll never see yellow tint, right? You never have. You never will, okay? Because I'm a dry sander. Because I dry sand. If I wet sand it all the time, you might catch me slipping once in a while. But I'm a really good wet sander as well. It just takes hell of a lot longer than what people would think they have to do and approach it in little different ways. It's more time consuming to wet sand properly, okay? And those people who are probably watching this right now, look at your work. Your finished product is really clear. But why do you have that yellow tint in there still? Because you didn't go deep enough. It's hard to go deep enough when you're wet sanding. It's hard to gauge and tell how deep you are wet sanding. Dry sanding, you can see it right there with your eyes. You can see it with your eyes. You can feel it with the end of the sandpaper. You can see the color difference. You can see the dust difference. You can't see all that when you're wet sanding. It's just a big muck that is covered with more muck and water. Even if you wipe it off, you can't tell because now it's just all foggy. So that leads to the inconsistency. Okay, my last video of this video here was about consistency. Okay, and that I'm one of the kings of consistency as far as headlight restoration. There always hits the certain level of headlight restoration, a certain level of clarity. Okay, and that has to do with I meet my depths very easy dry sanding, very easy with a power tool dry sanding. Okay. Once again, let me show you this angle here. Okay, look how lightly, look at this, go slow right here. Look how lightly, look at the light pressure I'm using on this. You do not want to be pushing and muscling up on that, which is what this video is about right here. You don't want to, because that's when you're going to be at the end like, why do I still have these scratches? And why do I have a scratch in my finished product? I didn't see them before. Because they're so deep and they're so embedded and shit, because you're sitting there muscling up on this light. It's more about finesse. A lot of guys think it's metaphorically, it's about football. It's about strength when it comes to headlight restoration. And your mind is going to tell you that as a man with a tool in your hand. But really, it's more like ballet. It's more like, fly fishing or something. It's not about strength, It's different, right? It's about finesse, and it's about repeatedly working this light in different spots. You see how I'm touching the same areas again, and I'm moving it around and moving it around and moving it around, okay? And this is to cut back on heat a little bit as well while I'm constantly moving. But at the same time, I'm producing a lot of heat and friction with these headlights, which produce clarity in the end product. You got to remember, these headlights were birthed how? Were they birthed in water? Were they birthed in the polar ice caps? No, they were birthed in heat. They were probably birthed in excess of 200 degrees plus, right? Melting. Okay.
Always blow between
They were birthed with distilled heat and all this shit like that. And then once they cool off into these little pellets, they place them in these injected molded plastics. They heat them up and inject the hot liquid, which they turned into these molds, and then they press them with these hot ass molds that literally hot, like burning hot. Press them, and then they pull them out and they cool them. Okay. And then they, then it's already crystal clear, and then they spray them, okay? And once again, the factory spray coats their headlights. They don't wipe them, okay? And they spray them when they are crystal clear, not foggy, for many, many reasons, okay? Check out my channel, and you'll see those reasons. But anyhow, this is how you're supposed to hold your drill. You see how I'm holding it? I'm not holding it with the butt of my hand, with the might of my strength of my palm. You see how I'm holding the back of it? I'm not holding it with my palm like I'm doing a jiu-jitsu hold or some shit, right? I'm holding it very gentle. Look at it. I'm holding it with my fingers, okay? I'm using finger strength to hold these. Why? Because it's about finesse, and also it helps me handicap my strength. As a man, any man is strong. A little man is strong. A big man is strong, right? I'm pretty strong. You got to hold it with your fingers more so than your hand if you want to get to this level. But as you see here, check this out. That's that white powder. You see how fine it is? That white powder. That's how you know you met your depth. That means you have hit raw polycarbonate. No adulterates. No pockets full of old clear coat or wax or anything like that. That's how you know you have hit your depths correctly. Okay. Now, can you tell that when you're wet sanding? No, you can't. Not with a machine, not with nothing. Okay. With dry sanding by hand, yeah. With dry sanding with a machine, yeah. You can tell that. And this is part of the reason why dry sanding is superior than wet sanding. Wet sanding, whatever, it's all a preference. I can still hit my marks with wet sanding, but it's like 1,000 times harder. Like even I would maybe fall short a couple times, okay? And then here's a lot of things that they're not telling you behind the scenes. There are some lights that you cannot possibly do by hand. There are some lights out there that you cannot possibly do with wet sanding or by hand. I guarantee it. I recently just had 2 CTSVs, and they made me not want to do headlight restoration anymore. But basically headlight restoration anymore on those vehicles, which I probably won't. It'll be an extremely high price, or I'm just not going to do them anymore, because each one took me, as fast as I am, about 2.5 hours a piece. Okay. So, this with the think about it. I'm using this machine here that's that powerful, that does 1700 RPM, that has 600 pounds of torque. That makes it hard enough for me to do it for 2.5 hours to do a headlight restoration, and in about one of those hours a piece, at least one 1 hour 45 minutes was just removing the shit on the light. It was so hard, okay? And that's the natural coating that comes from the factory.
Step 4.
So,
P800
just think about
hand
it.
sanding.
What if I did it by hand? I wouldn't be able to do it, okay? It wouldn't come out good, right? See those very insignificant little swirlings or whatnot? Mostly they're insignificant, and it'll probably be gone by the time I hit my final stage. But with this step here, it pretty much eliminates those. It kind of cross hatches them and eliminates them, period. Okay. And the effect of it is pretty much smoothing out those headlights and going to give you a 10 times smoother outcome and a more fluid looking outcome without those there. And you'll be able to see when I'm done here, if you can already almost see that they are pretty much eliminated from this step. It almost erases them and makes it a totally flat, totally smooth surface. Okay, and when you're using this, you see my fingers, you see my hand. I'm not using my whole hand. I'm limiting my strength and pressure by just using my finger grip. All right. It doesn't take a lot to hold this still. You know, if I can hold the drill that way, I can hold it this way as well. And with the drill, I mean, you know, you should be able to hold it with your finger strength, especially if you are a male, if you are a man, okay? You know, you don't even have to be a strong man. You should be able to hold it. And you see how they kind of replace themselves with vertical ones as well? Those ones will go away very easy. Okay, even if I just polish with my hand or whatever, those ones will just go away. Okay, and if they didn't, a vertical line, you know, superficial line versus a swirl is much more easier to mask and much more easier to fill in and will not be recognized by the eye. A curved one or a circle one stands out a lot more. Okay, so let me go into depth about this magic disc here. This is a more of a pad than a disc. This is the 3000 Trizac pad. This is one of the heavy hitters of the Headlight Restoration Pros method. It is so different and so revolutionary. It's insane. This disc right here versus one of these discs right here. This is a non-traditional or conventional disc. This is the Trizac pad. You can hear the difference. Okay, you can see the difference. You can feel the difference. This looks like this on the surface of it. If you magnify it or whatever, you blow it up, it looks like this. It has all those pyramids. It has all those, different caverns or whatever. And it just reacts different than something like this, which is scratchy and is a sandpaper, which has like little sand particles on them, little granulates that help grind stuff down that look like that. Totally different science, totally different method. They are doing similar things, just totally different. And the powers of them are a lot different. That's why this one is so much more expensive than the other one. This one is a couple of bucks per one of these. This one is some change. Okay, or the regular sanding discs are some, change per one. This one is a couple of bucks per each one of these. Big difference. But this one, the Trizac pad, you can use a lot more than just a regular disc.
Step 5. 3M 3000 Trizac pad.
Okay, so this is regular water. This is from the tap. Sometimes it's, pH balanced water, whatever. If I have a leftover water in the car or something, I use the good stuff. But it really makes no difference. It's not going to do anything different for your headlight restoration. So don't try to a lot of people in the detailing world do crazy ass shit that makes no sense or doesn't even matter for certain stuff. Like I'm going to have this water softener or this, neutralize, water and I'm going to pour it on the car and it's like I'm going to wash the car with it. And that shit makes no sense if you're doing all the other shit. In some cases, it depends on when you're using it, all about timing. But I see some stuff on the internet and it's like you guys are just overthinking shit. You're gonna do this and do that, do this and that, and it's like I'm gonna mow the lawn with scissors. I'm gonna cut the lawn grass with scissors, and then I'm gonna mow it with a lawnmower, and then I'm gonna have a tractor come in and dig up the dirt so I can resod it. Like, hold on, you guys are just doing some weird ass shit that makes no fucking sense. If you're doing all that shit anyways, right? I see a lot of that on the internet. It's counterproductive and it just confuses people. Like they're thinking too hard and they don't really understand how things work. But anyhow, that is regular water, and that is how you do the Trizac pad right there. And you can already see the magic happen right in front of your eyes from that pad. It just turned it pretty much clear underneath that muck, right? But anyhow, it's going to fog back over here in a minute. You're going to use glass cleaner, preferably a glass cleaner that does not have ammonia in it. Ammonia does react a little weird sometimes or can react weird with polycarbonate. It's preferred alcohol, even though alcohol sucks as well, because you don't want the stripping agent of the alcohol or the stripping ability of the alcohol. You just want the disinfectant ability and the quick drying ability. Okay, so I cut this non-ammonia base alcohol base. Okay, non-ammonia alcohol base Windex with water, about an 80-20 mixture. Okay, so it's diluted glass cleaner. Okay, this is one of the most important checkpoints of doing your headlight restoration. You check all over, and if you see any prominent lines, any striations or swirls or anything like that, you want to address it at this point. With that water on there and with it evaporating, you should very well see anything that you do not like on that light, and you should be addressing it. Sometimes people just don't do it because they feel like, oh, I've done all this stuff, and your mind kind of plays games with you, and you know you've seen it, but for some reason you just clear coat it over anyways because you're tired at this point and whatever, and you just do it. But you have to check at this point. But anyways, this is two different 3M orange finesse pads, and they're just at different stages in their life. This one right here is brand new, never used, and this one right here has been used on about 30 vehicles, this flat one right here, and I can still use it probably on about 5 more and get away with it, if not more. They last for a long time, and they're very much worth the money. You know, this one 30 and this one 0. Okay. People say, oh my God, they're so expensive. But really, if you think about the 30 cars, I mean, I don't know, if you're charging $20 a car or whatever you're charging, it's definitely going to pay for itself very fast. Okay, so we're going to get into the next step here, which is a very important step. Let me explain that to you.
Step 6, the dab method.
Okay, so just like with the other pads, you want to make sure that's balanced on there. That's what I was showing you there. This is AC Delco. Just a quick reference here. You can use this one here, this Ryobi or drill or whatever, but it only has up to 1700 RPM. This step is all about speed coming up, where this one, this AC Delco, has 7800 RPM. The difference being is a shitload more heat. Okay. The heat is what these headlights are born in, once again, okay? They are birthed in heat. When they're made from heat. And when they're pressed in there, they're pressed with heat, which gives them this ultra clarity. They come out crystal clear, and then they're sprayed with clear coat. Message, let me say that again. They come out crystal clear once they're pressed, and then they're sprayed with clear coat. They don't come out foggy. There's many reasons why. But anyhow, I'm going to do something here that you guys haven't seen. I'm using, for this dab method here, well, I'm using the 3M hard lens polish, and I'm using the Chemical Guys headlight restoration polish. Using them together, they're both heavily endowed in oil, one more than the other. So, and essentially, I'm kind of cutting each other and seeing what happens. They both, are one of the top ones for this method. There's a bunch of other ones in the bio that you could even use that are top notch for this method as well. But I find myself liking these two. This is a lot more than you would normally use. See all this? This is a lot more than you normally use. But this is a fresh pad. It needs to start developing saturation and being endowed with these polishes and oils. Okay, so this is how you do it. And see how I'm pushing it in? I'm pushing it into the pad at the same time pushing it into the headlight. And see how it's already dried up a little bit like that? It's like pushed into the pad a lot. So I'm going to have to put more on here in a second. But this is what the dab method is. You are dabbing and dabbing and dabbing all over the headlight. And it gives it, what's going on is it's giving it time to penetrate into the pockets of those headlights, the pockets of that polycarbonate surface, which once again look like this, or even this, okay? A woven blanket, or maybe the surface of a sponge, okay? They have pockets and stuff like that. The surface of this is closer to the surface of this finesse pad, this sponge here. Okay, has a lot of pockets and it absorbs stuff. All right. Dab method, it helps you pace yourself getting it penetrated into those pockets and fissures. It also aids in pushing it inside of it because you're pressing and it's pushing all that beneficial oil and polish inside of those little pockets. Okay, also preparing yourself to do the next step, the polishing. All right. And then you say, why would oil be good to be pushing in there? Why would this stuff be good to be pushing in there? Because it's so endowed with oil, it's going to make your headlights more clear.
Step 7, polishing.
Now we're going to be polishing, and what's going on here is not only is this helping embed some of that beneficial or that leftover beneficial oil into the headlight, it's also knocking down those peaks and fissures. Now, when this is first used, sometimes it'll start flinging stuff around. If you want to get rid of that stuff that flings around, you do what I just did. But this is doing a couple different things when you're polishing and why it's getting so clear. Okay, one of the number one reasons is it's extremely hot. 7,800 RPM is very hot. If you did it on your skin, you couldn't stand it for less than a half a second. It's like burning. You would have like 3rd-degree burns. Okay, if you touch the light right behind you doing this, it's very hot. Okay. So that's one of the major reasons why it's so clear. Another major reason is it's knocking down some of those caverns and fissures. Okay, there's peaks and high peaks. Okay, there's high peaks and caverns. Okay, which means some parts are kind of higher than not or whatever. What is a peak in a cavern? Okay, they have different little peaks and glaciers or whatever, and it's knocking some of those down and making them more even at the same time as depositing some of that leftover oil from the compound in there. Okay, that's what the friction is doing. The RPM, the 7,800 RPMs, and that compound is doing, busting it down. That's one of another reasons why it's turning so clear. But one of the most beneficial things about this, as I said, is the fact that it's already clear. It's already going to be performing at about 100% right now at this point. Okay. And another, like I said, one of the most beneficial other reasons is because that oil that's deposited in that light. It's not only going to help the light perform at a higher capacity or be more clear or project more light and more distance. It's also going to help with the longevity of the light, the actual health. People think the longness of the light matters. If it lasts 10, 20 years, I don't care if it breaks. That makes no fucking sense, right? That makes no sense. Longevity within reason. If you want to go too long and it just damages the light, cracks the light, fucks up the light, makes the light dried out or whatever, you don't want that. This method is very beneficial in headlight health. And that's why it's so clear right here. Now, this beneficial oil that's going to be left behind in there, in those pockets and in those fissures, is going to help with that health. It's going to help it be more elastically, whatever, when it's breathing. The headlight actually breathes. I say breathing because that's the motion it mimics, but it expands and contracts under heat and cold. And wherever you're at, you have heat and cold. Okay, even if it's not as hot as here or it's not as cold as here, it's hot and cold. It expands and contracts. Okay, it also dries out. It also does all kind of things from the heat and the pressure. Okay, so with those little tiny, that little bit of trace amount of oil in there, so beneficial, it's insane. This is why my headlights are so clear. Look at this. This headlight looks better than most people's finished product. It's not even done yet. It's not even clear, right? With this method, you can obtain the same exact results. I'm showing you here step by step. I'm slowing it down a hell of a lot, and I'm trying to explain a little bit more to you. And I'm trying to show you a little bit more on this, okay? beneficial oil. Okay, if you were to touch it right now, it just feels like glass. Okay, it feels like glass or whatever. It's that smooth. It's very slick. If you poured water on it, it'll just fall off. Okay, with that being said, there's no oil in there that's going to like mess it up. You're not going to be driving the street and your light's just going to start sweating oil. No, it doesn't happen that way. It's not going to peel off. Why? Because I'm using stuff that's meant for headlights. Okay, so I apologize. Some kind of malfunction happened with my recording, and I didn't even catch it until I was doing all this editing until I got to my point of this right here. This is already sprayed. Okay, so this part right here is finished product as soon as the camera panned out. With that being said, look at that clarity and look at that finish, and I'm going to show you the other light as well. But like I said, if you want to see the finished spraying part, it's on every video. Just backtrack and check out some of my other videos and you'll see about the spraying. That's the final part right there, besides removing the tape. Just go ahead and look at this other one here. This is the level of quality you can produce when you follow these steps on this method. Drop the ball a little bit, but it still should get the point across. You didn't miss anything except for spraying, which is on every other video. Okay, that was I was just about to spray, and I don't know what happened, why my recording stopped or something, or it didn't go out all the way. And these other ones did, so I'm still trying to figure that out, but it looks beautiful, both sides identical.
Step 7. Spray UV clear coat surrogate headlight.
Okay, as promised, I'm just going to insert a spray coating from another light. Same exact method, same exact headlight coating, same exact everything. Just a different car, different shaped light. And we're going to get, guess what? The same exact result. Picture perfect perfection. Now this is the Meguiar's headlight coating once again, and see how I spray like this on every video. I do a light layer. I usually start with one side of the inside corner or the outside corner of the light, and I trace the outside of the headlight and then work my way in and do overlapping spray coats, and it happens really quick, really fast. You see, I'm already done. Really fast, really quick. Multiple overlapping spray coats, very thin, after you lay down that first thin coat for it to adhere to. And you want to get it done quick. You don't want to double coat, ever double coat. Okay, it does weird stuff. Don't matter. I'll tell you right now, this can says double coat, but do not double coat. It's best to do a straight heavy coat. Okay, the factory wants you double coat for other reasons. Okay, it's not going to make your headlights perform as good. It's not going to make your headlights look as good. And like I always say, their best scientist has not performed nowhere near as many headlight restorations as I have with their product. Trust me on that. So I know firsthand it's better to do a full, thick, heavy one-layer coat. But look at this one here. As you see, the consistency of this method, there's no yellowing, there's no weird stuff, just nothing but crystal blue, crystal clarity headlight restoration. Stay tuned, and stay tuned for this video coming up soon. Subscribe.
The Headlight Restoration Pro. The future of headlight restoration.
People think I'm giving this guy a nice one.